Hey, how's it going? My name is Luke Stokes and I'm on the launch team for eosDAC, but this video is not representing eosDAC. This is just my personal opinion. I'm going to talk about, was the eosDAC airdrop a form of vote buying? This is something I'm really passionate about. I've been a Steam witness, a Steam block producer, for a year now, actually. I started in May and then all the way up until October of last year. Starting in October, I was a top 20 witness, so I was part of the consensus for the system. I'm very passionate about this topic. Vote buying is extremely destructive, and any kind of democratic voting system, it's illegal in multiple countries, including the United States. It is not a good thing. It increases noise, decreases signal. And so I really like DPOS. I've been in the blockchain space for more than 5 years. Delegated proof of stake is the mechanism that BitShares, Steam, and EOS use to secure and validate the chain. I view it as cooperation over competition. I view it as the individual users and the motivational psychology that they're operating under in direct alignment with those who secure the chain that they want to use. We saw for many years in the Bitcoin space, the debate between the block size, between the miners and the users was a problem, and there was no on-chain way to manage that governance issue. So I love DPOS because there's on-chain mechanisms for individual token holders to express themselves to the block producers and those who secure the network in a way that matters. They are getting paid to do a job by inflation of the token, and if they don't do that job well, or they don't, and this is the key part, they don't provide value to the network, they get voted out and other people take their place. And this is really the key of why DPOS is so fantastic to me. It's the block rewards are essentially a prize that are given out to the people who provide the most value. This is how I've seen it work in the last year that I've been a witness. It's not something where you want to make it just barely cover the costs of running a server. And there are multiple reasons for that. One, I remember seeing witnesses who, after Steam was at $4, it went down to like 7 cents. And those witnesses were losing money. They couldn't even cover their expenses, but they kept doing it. Most of them kept doing it because they believed in a future prize, a future reward of greater value that being a witness would give them. So there is this incentive, this financial incentive for block producers to maintain that position because they're going to get paid well, like more than if they spent their time doing other things. And a lot of these people are incredible developers, entrepreneurs, community members, people that provide a lot of value and could get paid very well doing other things, but they get paid more doing this, so they stay and do it. If the reward is not high enough, they're like, whatever. It's a race to the bottom. It's all commoditized, and it doesn't really matter who's doing the job. To me, that's not a very secure blockchain. This is why proof of work is very expensive. It's by design. Delegated proof of stake, in my opinion, should be appropriately expensive. It shouldn't be wasteful, obviously. The money should be well allocated. But it should be enough, I think, to incentivize people, the very best people, to not only have the best equipment possible, the best technical team possible, but also reserves that they hold in case the fluctuation of the token price creates a situation where, running 3 or 4 backups becomes, difficult. And that's part of it too. I think they should have multiple backups. They should have a team of people monitoring their servers, all of that. This to me is without question. It's absolutely required to be a block producer on a DPOS system. So back to eosDAC. eosDAC, if you're not familiar, is a distributed autonomous community. That's what DAC means. And we are a candidate for the EOS blockchain. And I was approached by the team there early on, well, actually, they've been going for a couple months, and I was approached to join their team. And as the content creator the different content I've created, and my experience as a witness, and a number of different reasons, I just gelled with the launch team enough that they really wanted me to be on board. And I went back and forth with them for a couple weeks over this specific issue. Is their planned airdrop, which is now complete, or mostly complete, of the eosDAC token a form of vote buying? And that really concerns me because I love DPOS and I don't want to participate or be involved in anything that could damage the efficiency of that system and the brilliance of that system and what makes that system so effective and efficient. So I pondered this for a long time and I thought about it quite a bit, and a simple question was asked of me that clarified a lot. Do I prefer a centralized corporation with a small board of directors and a CEO getting potentially a significant amount of rewards for being a block producer, and then making all the decisions for how those rewards should be used in order to benefit the network and in order to get that vote? Is that the ideal situation? Or is it better to have an entire large community that's involved in deciding what that block producer does to provide value to the network with those rewards? Is it better to have a member-owned block producer or a centrally owned private block producer? And I'm sure there's many different, public benefits or, other, even nonprofits, who knows? There are many different mechanisms in between there. And some people even argue the extra rewards should be burned. It's an interesting concept as well. They're all worth exploring. But again, I want the reward itself to be enough that people diligently pursue this position of a block producer. So when I think about that simple question, I think, yeah, I want to decentralize all the things. I mean, for many years, I've been excited about the concept of a DAC and what that means for human organizations, governments. It's just, to me, it's an exciting alignment of motivational psychology. It's awesome. It's the future. It's what everybody's going to do. And it's interesting to me that there's a little bit of a potential that the reason why people are concerned about a DAC BP is that they essentially feel threatened by it. They recognize it is the future, and they're kind of like, but I like my centralized rewards. I like to keep all the money for myself, and that's threatening. Maybe as it should be. This is open for discussion. I think that the primary goal is the most excellent secure block production possible. Beyond that, what you do with those tokens and those rewards, the extra, is how you demonstrate to the community why you're better as a block producer than someone else. That, to me, is just how it works. And so when I look at the airdrop token, I think it's certainly true to say people who got this free token dropped into their Ethereum wallets because they held EOS on April 15th, they are more financially incentivized to have eosDAC be a block producer than someone else because they are part of that system. And I'll go ahead and read from the website. We do actually talk about what are we going to use the block producer rewards for. One is to support the growth of the EOS blockchain infrastructure. eosDAC will invest heavily in continuously upgrading and improving its operational infrastructure to ensure it achieves maximum speed, reliability, and redundancy. Again, goes without saying. Number two, to proactively support the wider EOS community in decentralized application developers and end users through investing in its own dApp development and through providing community grants. And this idea, I think, really is focused around the DAC as well, building tools for DACs and as a DAC ourselves to enable other DACs. And then three, and this is where the controversy comes in, once sufficient funds have been allocated to operational costs, infrastructure growth, community development, and contingency funds, eosDAC intends to distribute surplus EOS tokens directly to eosDAC token holders. This EOS token distribution will be governed by eosDAC token holders via its constitution and therefore voted for by its members. So that's it. That's the problem. That's the concern. That's why there are people who think that this is a form of vote buying. I disagree, and I spent many weeks coming to this conclusion. And I disagree for an important reason. The definition of vote buying involves directly paying someone because of the way they are going to vote or because they didn't vote. And when I look at this, I actually was looking into this a little bit. When I look at the definition of vote buying here, it's any reward given to a person for voting in a particular way or for not voting can be called vote buying. Vote buying is a corrupt election practice. A vote buying bribe is that having a monetary value. And the practice of vote buying is banned in the United States. It's also illegal in a number of other countries as well. It's not okay. It's not good. And this token, this eosDAC token, was given to everyone, regardless of who they vote for. They could sell the token. They don't want to support a DAC BP. That's totally fine. They take it, sell it on the market, go do their own thing. Don't even worry about it. They could keep the token, never vote for us, and vote for all the other block producers and still benefit from any value that we bring to the network if we have any excess rewards, any excess tokens that could be spent that way. this to me is a really important point. This, I think, is why Thomas Cox and others who have been discussing this kind of go, well, it's not vote buying directly. But is it a perception of vote buying? Possibly. There is the perception that there is a financial reward or incentive to ensure we become a block producer. That's fair. I understand that. I recognize that. And that, again, is the reason why I joined this team. Because I knew that DACs are the future. This is going to happen. There are going to be DAC BPs. And I figured I want to work with the best technical group from my perspective. Rob and Michael have done a phenomenal job with the Superhero Test Network. I perceive them to be very technically skilled in this area. I myself have a lot of experience in that, and I hope to get more involved in exactly what they're doing as far as the server specifics and all that, and that's ongoing and developing. But more so, I want to make sure that we set the example for what a DAC who wants to be a BP has to do. Like I want to be involved in setting the bar so high that our excellence and everything that we provide in terms of value to the network is so unquestioned that vote buying becomes a silly concept. It's like, well, no, I'm going to vote for them anyway because it secures the value of my token in EOS. If I'm gonna have $1 million applications I'm building on top of EOS, I need to have the best BPs available, and this is the best BP available. That's why I'm voting for them. That should be the #1 and only reason people choose us or anyone else to be a block producer. The addition of the token is something that people are concerned with and say, hey, well, that just muddies the water. It's confusing. Why do you need a separate token? And my answer to that is essentially, look at what we've done the last few months. I mean, it's kind of amazing. I've been working harder than I ever have, and I don't have a job right now. I don't have a job. This is what I've been doing, and a lot of other guys on the team as well, working full-time, working crazy hours, because they believe that they're going to be rewarded, that they're incentivized through this new token created out of nothing, out of thin air, that other people think is valuable also. And so we have funds as an organization, we have funds as individuals to work on this because we created this token, and we didn't have to wait 3 months. We didn't say, we'll do an airdrop later, once EOS launches. We get to reward the early adopters of EOS, those people who really believed in it from the beginning. And so we're not working for free. We're excited about working hard and giving our best effort because of that. And I think that's a good thing. And I think most people agree, like, yeah, you should be rewarded for doing great work. So really, to me, the big challenges come when there's someone who's trying to extract more value than they create. And that, when we talk about the tragedy of the commons, we talk about what we want, a collaborative commons with this more co-op situation where we approach a more zero marginal cost society, and we have everybody benefiting who actually provides value, gets to realize that value. That's where we have the problem, when there's too much value extraction, not enough value delivering. And that's where bribes and vote buying and these type of situations become a problem, because that's where you're saying, hey, I know you're not really doing the thing you're supposed to do. You're really extracting value, but because I personally benefit, I'm kind of okay with all those people in the network not benefiting. That's where it's a problem. That's where things get bad. And there's a lot of people that argue whenever you introduce a monetary incentive into the game theory dynamics of this situation, you're always going to get the same result. You're going to get a whole bunch of people that are like, you know what, it may not be the best for the network, but I'm going to go ahead and vote this way because I personally get a reward. Is it possible that could happen? Yes, it is possible that could happen. And again, that is another reason why I joined this team. I want to set the bar for what is acceptable. I want to be involved in developing the constitution for eosDAC, which I have been. It's a 20-page draft now, and we're working on it. I want to be involved in the tooling and the interfaces and everything around when people go to vote for the custodians in eosDAC or when they go to vote for a BP. I want people to realize you have to think beyond your own selfish interests. You've got to think long term. And I'm all about rational self-interest. I think that's a beautiful, wonderful thing, but it's got to go beyond just the short term. You've got to think about what will really improve not only your life, but the life of everyone you interact with. My motto, my kind of thing I put on my profile right now is I want to create the world that we all want to live in. And that's how I view this as well. I want a secure EOS. I am an EOS token holder. It's one of my biggest holdings. Like, I want that network to be secure. I want the best people possible securing that network. And I want a member-driven community that everybody's going to have a voice when it comes to block production. if there's a protocol issue or a consensus issue or something that needs to be talked about, and those who don't hold have a lot of money and can't buy a bunch of EOS, but they maybe can buy eosDAC and have some influence there in that community and say, hey, can I talk to my custodians who represent me as far as a block producer? Can we think about getting this happening? And then now, as a block producer, eosDAC as an organization with those 12 custodians will now have a stronger voice to represent that smaller voice, to say, hey, maybe this person doesn't have a lot of money in EOS, but they actually have some influence within our community, and we think what they're saying is valuable and important, and we can bring that to the table. So it is a concern that when you introduce a financial incentive, you could potentially get people to make dumb decisions, and that's just the way I think about it. It's not rational to kill the goose that lays the golden egg. It's not rational to destroy the commons when you will not be able to benefit from its bounty in the future. It's not in your own long-term rational self-interest. Will people be irrational? Yes. What do we do about that? Education, education, education. Passionately helping people understand economic theory, game theory at a new higher level. You know, tit for tat with forgiveness works. Like, it's not all about just screwing the other guy. It's about rising to a level where you're going to make the world you want to live in, because that's how you benefit. It's about Nash equilibriums. It's about creating a situation where we're all making the best possible decision we can make, because we're all trying to increase well-being. And I think we can get there. I'm not irrationally optimistic about this. I'm not too idealistic. And I'll go ahead and link to people smarter than me. I'll link to Steven Pinker's TED Talk he just gave. I think that's a phenomenal example where everyone talks about the negativity, but it's not true. The data proves something different. It's the greatest time to ever be alive. So a lot of people say, well, this isn't going to work because of human nature. And I disagree. I say, haha, human nature is not just what the news tells you it is. Human nature can be determined by rational data that we can analyze and say, people are caring about others more. They're caring about the environment more. They are doing better than we've ever done as a species ever. So I am optimistic. I do think this can work. I do think we can reward individuals for being part of something bigger than themselves through a member-driven block producer. And that's what the eosDAC token does. It does create an incentive for people to join a community and be part of what we're building and what we're doing. And I think that's going to be valuable. I think that's going to be a very good thing. And the best thing about all this is it's not up to me. I don't get to decide. You all, as the EOS token holders, you get to decide. If you think it's vote buying, you are free to say so, and then we can talk about it. We can have an open dialogue, and I would love to do that. I'd love to have discussions about this. I'd love to know where my thinking is wrong. You know, I am now biased. Yes, I am an eosDAC token holder as well as an EOS holder. So I have a bias now. And I have to recognize that. I have to acknowledge that. But I spent weeks thinking about this prior to making the decision to join the launch team, because this is an important issue. And I wanted to be out on the forefront of saying, we are going to have DACs. How are we going to do them right so that we don't sacrifice the security of the network? And I hope that's what I'm doing. I hope that's what this video is about, is talking about my concern there and what we can all do as a community to say, look, if we're going to have DACs that are BPs, they need to do it this way. They need to have a constitution and they need to have tools to educate their members. This is not just about some kind of like proof of stake token where you hold it and you get rewards. That's not what this is about. This is a member-driven, member-owned community. All the work we do is going to be by the members of the community. And we're going to use that token to be able to do our own governance for other DAC enabling projects that we're excited about. So the token itself is important and needed for our own community and the communities that we're going to spawn and support. But it's also important that we be a block producer, because I feel we need to represent the DACs. We will, as of right now, we're one of the few DAC candidates out there. So there are going to be a lot of DACs on EOS, and they need representation. And I think it can be us. So that's my little thought. I don't think, to summarize, I don't think it's vote buying, or even should be considered perceived vote buying, because we're not paying people for how they vote. How they vote is completely irrelevant as far as their value extraction they can have from the eosDAC token. The eosDAC token itself, what gives it value? What gives any token value? I mean, what gives EOS value? What gives Bitcoin value? If we provide more value to the network than we extract, people will say, that's valuable. I want to support that. That's my view. It's all subjective in that terms, and I think we're doing a very good job to be upfront and communicate as best we can about our views on this stuff. And so the market should decide. And hopefully the market can be well educated, and hopefully they can be long-term self-interested and rational about why they feel the token should be valuable. And hopefully they'll vote accordingly and nicely, because this is all on the blockchain. If we see people voting not that way, if people try to, maybe they try to vote, it is actually, we should go ahead and talk about this. This is one of my biggest concerns. The launch team gets this. They understand the value of a block producer and delegated proof of stake and the danger of vote buying. What if the launch team gets completely voted out and then new people come in and their whole goal is to maximize token distribution to eosDAC holders, and they basically get on commoditized hardware, minimize their costs in every shape and form? I hope that doesn't happen. If it does, you will see me using my EOS to vote for every other BP other than that, and you will see me doing videos talking about how they are trying to extract more value than they're creating, because they're not doing their job of being the best block producer possible. But it is a risk, and it is a scary risk, and it's one I've considered as well. And if I help start something that ends up becoming a problem for the network, that will be a big concern of mine. But I'm willing to take the risk because I believe in the concept of a DAC. I believe it is a super important part of our future, and I think it can stop a lot of suffering in the world. I'm not a fan of governments, which I define as a, initiation of violent force in a geographic region. I'm all about no rulers. I think we can create a society that's voluntary, where no human being gets to rule over another human being, and I think we can do that with tools like DACs and DAOs. So that's my thought. Hope that all made sense. I'd love to know your thoughts as well. Let's talk about this. Let's have a rational discussion. I will be willing to be wrong, because I care more about the EOS possibility to build DACs than I do about my my personal biases towards eosDAC right now. That said, I love the concept of eosDAC. I'm passionate about it. I've been working really hard to support it because I believe it is a hugely important part of the future. So let's chat about this. Let me know. Look forward to talking to you.